Today, I'll again be interviewing reading and learning specialist Faith Borkowsky. Faith is the author of the award-winning book, Failing Students or Failing Schools, A Parent's Guide to Reading Instruction and Intervention, and is the founder of High Five Literacy and Academic Coaching. Now, today we'll be talking about educational bait and switch. What is that? Well, bait and switch is the action of advertising one thing and then delivering another, generally a less expensive product or service. Now, one of the questions we'll discuss with Faith is how this could happen in school districts and why this should be a concern for parents. Faith, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Don.
So in your recent blog, Sound Bites and Slogans, One District's New Literacy Plan, you describe how jargon is used by school districts to make parents think their child will get the reading help they need. Would you please tell us more about that?
Yeah, so the blog that I had written is about a district who used a lot of the terminology in a booklet that they wrote for the district, for teachers, about reading strategies. And they used all the right words: explicit, systematic, structured, all the types of words, those catchphrases that come up when we discuss a structured approach, something that we would say is science-based. The problem here is that they use the words, but they're attaching it to the strategies that they already use. And those strategies are balanced literacy strategies. So they're basically rewriting the script to fit their own narrative. So this way, they are taking some of the terms that we would expect and that science tells us we should look for, and that parents want when their kids are getting a certain reading program, but they're really getting the same thing. They're not getting anything different. That's the problem. And this could be very dangerous for parents who believe that the school district is now enlightened and trying to do something different. And they won't then advocate for what truly is explicit, systematic phonics instruction. They won't know. They'll just trust that the school district now took this training and is using it appropriately, when really they're just using the terms and not really changing the instruction.
Yeah, now, I hear balanced literacy, and it sounds like that's a good thing. And you described it a little bit, but would you please tell us a little more the difference between balanced literacy and structured literacy instruction?
Yeah, so balanced literacy, what is typically used in schools, really is about making meaning. And that, again, sounds what you should do when you're reading. We read for meaning. But it's basically looking at ways for the child to read the words on the page based on his own knowledge, his own vocabulary already. And the word should then fit into what he or she already knows. So in other words, if a child is trying to read something and that those children cannot decode the words clearly, they're going to look outside the word. And balanced literacy strategies actually promote this. They're teaching children to look outside the word by looking at pictures, by using the first letter and guessing or skipping words. So a balanced approach, even though it sounds like it would be a good thing, encourages children to use multiple strategies rather than decoding strategies. And that doesn't mean they don't teach phonics. It just means that it's one of multiple strategies that kids could use to figure out how to read a word, rather than saying, No, when we read words, we sound out, we use the sounds, we read the word. A bigger word, we use the syllables, we read the word. And then we use context to confirm the word, not the opposite. It's really putting the emphasis on using multi-cueing as a way to just lift the words up off the page based on the child's own knowledge, rather than reading to learn something and making meaning by first being able to lift the words up off the page. That's what good readers do, instead of teaching strategies that are used by poor readers.
That's very interesting. Now, you mentioned in your blog several terms or techniques that were kind of new to me, and they sounded fun when we first look at them. You mentioned Skippy Frog and Tryin Lion and Chunky Monkey and Eagle Eye. Now, what do these mean, and why should parents watch out for these techniques?
Right, so it is adorable, isn't it? all these cute terms and animals to kind of coach kids into strategies that lead them away from the word. That's the message here. Parents need to understand that these types of things take children's attention away from the word. So you want to know some terms. So eagle eye would be like an eagle looking for a picture on the page and then looking at the first letter and making a logical guess based on those types of cues. Another one would be Skippy Frog, basically skipping the word and using the context to try to make a logical guess. Tryin Lion, see if it makes sense, give it a try. Chunky Monkey, chunk the word up into words or parts you already know. That's not explicit systematic instruction. When we think about reading words, it means going all through the word, left to right, all through the word, reading. That's what we do to decode, using our sounds in an organized way and then applying what we know about letters and sounds to figure out a word, and then using the other cues on the page just to confirm what has been read, not the opposite. So yeah, it sounds cute. It's not. And parents need to know that when their children are looking all over the page, it's not a tracking problem. That is confused with a tracking problem when, but their eyes are darting all over the page to make meaning. And so they're being taught to look elsewhere other than across the line to read.
It's really interesting because a lot of the things that you described here in these techniques are the complete opposite of how I was helped with reading. The teacher covered up the pictures because she didn't want me looking at the pictures to guess it. We took each word, we broke them up into syllables, we did phonics, phonemic awareness, and we used that systematic approach. Now, this was back during the 60s. And it really surprises me that something that works, how they get away from that to something that doesn't work, and then they want to stay there.
Yeah, it is shocking. So it's not lack of information. The information is there with the internet, with training. The research is there. This is just about staying with what is comfortable, staying with what's really fun to do. And there's no accountability when we use strategies like this because there's no scope and sequence. You asked me the difference before between structured and balanced. Structured, it's very easy to tell. Everything is laid out. There you will see every skill that needs to be taught. It's cumulative. You know what's coming next. And so there's accountability because you could tell this was taught, this was mastered, this still needs to be taught. This way, it's all over the place. So we could pull books in any order with mixed code. The children don't have to know the code. They're being given books where they just could use other ways to read, but it's not reading.
Yeah, it's very important information that all parents really need to know and understand, so they can be on the lookout on how their school district is teaching reading. Well, Faith, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you.
Faith's book, Failing Students or Failing Schools, is available in softcover, hardcover, ebook, and audio. And you can click on the link in the description below to learn more about Faith and see how you can buy our book. Thanks again, Faith.
Thank you, Don. Have a great day.